Abby Choi, a rising 28-year-old Hong Kong socialite in the fashion industry, disappeared on February 21st. She is suspected to have been murdered, dismembered, and cooked by her ex-husband's family. However, the police were able to quickly crack the case. How did they do it? First, let's review the background of the case. Abby Choi was from a rich family, with her parents being billionaires. She opened a social media account in 2012 to showcase designer handbags and jewelry. Since 2016, Abby Choi frequently attended public events and met many celebrities in the fashion and entertainment industries. She was featured on the cover of fashion magazines and most recently on the digital cover of the fashion magazine L'Officiel on February 13, 2023, just 8 days before she was murdered. She was described as a fashion icon. Abby married twice. The Hong Kong media reported that she was in love with her classmate Alex Kwong, her ex-husband who was involved in the case. Despite her parents' opposition, she married him in 2013 at the age of 18 and had a son and daughter together. The marriage lasted for 3 years, and after the divorce, her ex-husband got custody of the children. Not long after, Abby Choi married Chris, her second husband, holding a wedding on December 9, 2016. They had a son and daughter together after. However, the marriage wasn't officially registered. Chris is the son of a well-known restaurateur in Hong Kong. Choi's ex-husband, Alex Kwong, is an unemployed person who relies heavily on his ex-wife for his livelihood. He was involved in a theft and fraud case in 2015. Since then, he was wanted by the police. However, he managed to travel between mainland China and Hong Kong for years. Hong Kong police seem to do nothing about it. Kwong Kao, Abby's former father-in-law, served as a detective sergeant in the police force. He was involved in a rape case in 2005 and was taken into custody. He later resigned in exchange for not being criminally prosecuted. Anthony Kwong, her ex-husband's brother and mother, have no criminal record, but they have a lot of financial problems and are heavily in debt. Abby had been taking special care of her ex-husband's family, something that baffled the Hong Kong media. She set up 2 food companies and made her ex-husband's brother a director. She also hired him as her chauffeur to go to various fancy places. Abby's close girlfriend later recalled that her ex-husband's brother often pretended to be wealthy to court women and told people that Abby was his sister. Abby Choi bought a mansion 3 years ago for about US $9 million and registered it in the name of her former father-in-law, Kwong Kao, where her ex-husband's family and 2 children lived. Choi also helped pay for her ex-husband's brother's home. On the day of her disappearance, February 21st, Abby Choi went to school to pick up her daughter who she had with her ex-husband. Her family called the police. The case was quickly handed over to the Kowloon West Regional Crime Unit for follow-up. 3 days later, on the afternoon of February 24th, police found Abby Choi's body in a state of dismemberment in a house rented by her former father-in-law, Kwong Kao, on the eve of the murder. Police also found related tools in the basement. At a news briefing late on February 26, police investigators confirmed a head and ribs were found inside one of 2 large pots inside a 3-story house in Hong Kong's rural Tai Po district, where Choi is believed to have been butchered. 4 people charged in connection with the killing of Abby Choi appeared in court on the morning of February 27th.
The
liquid was up to the top of the pot, so to speak, and the whole pot was full. There was a lot of fat solidified in the form of jelly at the top, and there were also a lot of scraps of soup. I remember carrots and green radishes, and there was also minced meat, which I believe were human remains. Authorities said 3 suspects, her ex-husband Alex Kwong, Kwong's brother Anthony, and their father Kwong Kao have been charged with Choi's killing, and a 63-year-old woman has been charged with obstructing the case. All of the arrested persons have been uncooperative up to this point in time, making our investigation very difficult. We are now relying on our own investigations and intelligence analysis to determine which areas we should be searching. On March 2nd, Hong Kong police arrested another man. They accused the 41-year-old who works at a yacht company of trying to help one of the suspects flee Hong Kong by sea, according to Hong Kong police. A superintendent of the Kowloon West Regional Crime Unit said police have ended the search operation at a landfill but failed to find the victim's body parts. We all know looking for Choi's body in the landfill is a bit of a needle in a haystack, but I'm sure, like I said before, none of us want to give up any clues. But unfortunately, we can't find it, Choi's body and hands, and even if we don't, we have a lot of good evidence in this case, but we're not going to give up on any of it, and we're going to keep searching until everyone who knew and helped these people before or after the crime is brought to justice. The court adjourned a hearing on the case until May 8th. At first, the Hong Kong media thought the mansion might be the reason for the death of Abby Choi. It was reported that at the end of last year, Choi intended to sell the Kwong family's current mansion and move her ex-husband's family closer to their children's school, which sparked discontent from the ex-husband's family. The second reason was that Abby Choi wasn't married to her current husband, so in case of no will, her estate would theoretically be inherited by her children with her ex-husband. Even if her children born out of wedlock with her current husband had inheritance rights, the Kwong family would at least get more than half of the estate, so it was speculated that the Kwong family took action for these two reasons. But as the case develops, many Hong Kong media, including overseas Chinese media, start to believe that Abby Choi's case isn't simple. Her ex-husband's family, her current husband's family, and her parents' family are strangely connected in various ways, as if they share a common ground. The mob background of her ex-husband's family, the business background of her current husband's family, and her parents' family have intricate ties to the top echelons of the Chinese Communist Party, namely the Jiang and Zheng faction of former party leader Jiang Zemin and his partner Chen Qinghong. It's likely involving the Jiang-Zheng faction's use of Hong Kong's business and entertainment circles to launder money. But let's put that aside for now and follow up when there are more developments and updates. In this episode, we'll focus on a relatively simple question. That is, how did the police quickly find clues and crack the case in just a few days? Abby Choi's longtime friend, former singer Chow Ying-kit, disclosed to the media that Abby had sent a dream to her mother after she was killed, saying she was in a place where there were many dogs barking and many monkeys right in Tai Po. Abby's mother, who had never been to Tai Po, reported to the police. The clueless police found part of Abby Choi's limbs in a village house in Tai Po based on the clues provided by her mother and thus arrested her ex-husband's family. According to the police report, Abby Choi was killed in the village of Lung Mei, Tai Po. Her ex-husband's father rented the house a few weeks before the murder. Chow Ying-kit also said he was terrified to hear that. The mother also dreamed of her daughter for several days in a row and hoped that she would reveal the entire story. This friend of Abby Choi's confessed, "It's true, I am terrified upon hearing it." He also revealed that Abby's husband also told him that something strange had happened at home. After Abby was murdered, a moth flew in and didn't leave for the whole night. The house had never seen a moth before, and her husband Chris believed the moth was Abby Choi, who came to visit the family. We would like to expand on this topic and share some additional information. The idea of solving cases through dreams and arresting murderers sounds mysterious, but it isn't an isolated case in ancient Chinese culture or in today's reality. On November 30th, 2014, China's CCTV program Today's Law aired a program in which police successfully solved a murder case through the mysterious dream of the victim's sister. Zhang Yangcheng, a villager from a northern province in China, had disappeared and the police were looking for him but to no avail. Her sister lived in another province. Zhang Yangcheng's sister, Zhang Yan, came to the police. She said she had a very strange dream that her brother had been murdered. But Zhang Yangcheng's sister was convinced that her brother had been killed and asked son Cheng Guang to send someone to look for him, because she said that her brother, Zhang Yangcheng, told her in a dream where he was buried. She described the location as west of our train station, along the railroad line, on the south side of the railroad line, where her brother was buried. She pointed very accurately in that direction. There were bushes all along the way, and then about 800 meters further on, it was almost a no man's land. The police didn't believe her words as they considered the dreaming thing nonsense. They told her that there was no way in the world that sending a dream could exist. Although Sun Chengguang and his partner didn't believe in the so-called dream based on which to search for the body, in order not to disappoint the sister and worsen her pain, they followed her direction to investigate.
所说的方向进行了勘察。
Amazingly, right next to the railway track in this uninhabited area, they found an abnormal piece of sandy land. The Chinese police relied on the clues from the sister's dream and eventually found the victim's body. However, the police thought that sending a dream was impossible. They speculated the sister could be a major suspect in her brother's murder case. But after various investigations, it was found that the sister had no time and motive to commit the crime. The ultimate truth of the case was that the villager was killed by his girlfriend's love interest. This is a rare piece with psychic elements on China Central Television, and it shocked many viewers. Some pondered and some wrote, "Behind the paranormal case, where are the souls of people after they die?" In reality, in ancient Chinese books, there were numerous stories about people who entrusted dreams after death, including sending dreams to capture murderers. In the Ming Dynasty, the Yongle Encyclopedia was a book commissioned by the Yongle Emperor of the Ming Dynasty, who wrote the preface himself and gave it the title Yongle Encyclopedia. In this encyclopedia, it was recorded that during the northern and southern dynasties, Zhuge Fu, a native of Shandong province, was appointed by the imperial court to serve as governor of Zhoujian, which was the southern part of Hanoi, Vietnam. Because of the long journey, he only took his eldest son to the post, while the rest of his family stayed in Nanjing. Later, he died in office. His 19-year-old son escorted his father's coffin and belongings north, returning home. On the way, he was killed by a disciple of his father and got robbed of his money. Then one night, Zhuge Fu's wife suddenly dreamed of her son's return, telling of his father's death and his own injustice. He said, "I am exhausted from the rush, so I'm going to lie down on a bed and sleep with my head under the window. Tomorrow, if you check the place where I have slept, you would be able to prove that I have indeed returned home." The wife woke up in grief, holding a lamp to check the window, and found a wet patch of a human shape. So the whole family wailed and wept, and immediately informed all their friends and relatives. The wife wrote a letter to two of her husband's former colleagues, telling them how she had dreamed of her husband's death and the murder of her son. She entrusted those two officials to investigate. After receiving the letter, her husband's colleagues immediately investigated and indeed intercepted the funeral boat of Zhuge Fu. They checked the date of death of both the father and son, which was exactly the same as the dream revealed. The two murderers were arrested. When the two criminals learned that it was the deceased who had sent the dream to report them, they fell to the ground and confessed to their crime. They were later executed according to the law. In China's cultural heritage of thousands of years, virtually everyone from the emperor to the common people believed in the existence of souls. They accepted the idea that when a person dies, what he or she sheds is only the human skin, and the soul leaves the body. If it passes away before its life expectancy, it may wander into another dimension and wait to be reborn. Or it may go to heaven because of the good deeds they have done, or it may be condemned to receive punishment in the underworld before being reincarnated again. However, human eyes are rather limited in what they can see. They cannot see other dimensions. In addition, traditional Chinese culture has always told people that retribution for good and evil is a constant, just a matter of time. Therefore, there is an old saying in China that there is a divine being 3 feet above the head. It means that beyond the human world, many higher beings are watching over the human world. Even the top brass of the CCP reveal signs of traditional Chinese culture inadvertently as they are inevitably influenced by it.
别看你今天闹得欢，小心啊，今后拉清单，这都得应验的，不要干这种事情。头上3尺有神明，一定要有敬畏之心。
The ancient Chinese also attached great importance to some deeply remembered dreams, as they were considered a form of existence in another dimension. They believed that the dream entrusted by the deceased to the living occurred in other dimensions. The messenger and the dream recipient existed in different times and spaces, and through the dream, the messenger conveyed information to the recipient, either to convey the truth, avoid a calamity, or express the will of God, etc. One type of such dream is that of hunting for a killer. If we look at Abby Choi's case from this perspective, does it offer any consolation to know that she was brutally murdered by a group of people who sought to destroy her body, yet her soul appeared in her mother's dream to help the police find the killer? Abby Choi's husband, Chris, believes that the strange moth in the house is a sign that Choi has come to visit them. The period from the 6th night to the 7th morning of a loved one's death is known in the Chinese culture as Toqi. It's considered very important. During this time, the spirit of the deceased would return to see the family. Afterward, authorities in the yin or the underworld realm where the soul exists will cancel the loved one's household registration in the yang or human realm. On the day of Toqi, some family members will invite monks or priests to perform rituals for the deceased one so the soul can live a better life in the other dimension. The ritual we are seeing here is the one that Abby Choi's husband, Chris, hired to perform on her Toqi. Because Abby died in such a violent, tragic, and unexpected way, it was believed necessary to bring her pieces of the soul together so that she could rest in peace. It goes to show that although the CCP preaches atheism, the belief in no gods, people in China still have more or less their own traditional interpretations of paranormal events.